Hi there, and welcome to the IPBES Data Management tutorials. Today, we will cover a general introduction to the management of active research data within the chapter Data Management of Active Research Data. My name is Fatima Parker Ali. I'm a Deputy Director in Biodiversity Informatics and also the Sandy Jeebov Node Manager at the South African National Biodiversity Institute. I'm also a member of the IPBES Task Force on Knowledge and Data. In this session, I will provide an overview of what active research data management is and why its management is important. This is intended to support the IPBES authors by providing some guidance in the data management process and in the development of data management reports. So active research data basically refers to data that is currently being used, analyzed, and produced as part of an active research project. So this includes primary data as well as secondary data. And this data may then include, for example, specimen data, observations, images, video files, scripts, models, and algorithms, and there are other types of data. For IPBES contributors, this may then include external data or existing data being used and analyzed as part of the development of an assessment or an information product. Active research data management refers to the cleaning, formatting, analyzing, and publishing of this data during the timeline of a project, where it's actively being used and before it's being stored in a long-term repository. So management of this data includes making decisions related to components of the research data lifecycle. And in this figure below, you'll see these different components, which will include, for example, planning and funding, collecting and analysis, towards discovery and reuse. So there are a number of components. But there are a number of decisions then also that we make, and those decisions can be found in the outer circle here of the life cycle. And they basically refer to, for example, decisions around describing data, for example, when we are busy collecting information. Or, for example, when we are looking at the steps towards publishing, what licenses are we using? So, for example, for the IPBES policy, these licenses may be CC0, or it may be CC BY, which is attribution. So these are the kinds of decisions and considerations in the life cycle and in the kind of when we are basically using data. So what else is being managed? Here we see also in the image below, we look at data, the use of data from primary towards policy relevance. So as we move from using data towards policy relevance and value, data is often transformed in this process. We conduct analysis, and often we show visualizations of this data. And in so doing, we produce a product. In the development of a product, producing and documenting our workflows are really important. Workflows then are sequential steps towards achieving a product. So for our authors, producing an assessment or a product, presenting a complete workflow of these processes are really important, as it allows reproduction of the product and also using updated versions of data. So this may apply, for example, to the development of indicators or of models and scenarios and so forth. So there are a number of broad reasons why active data management is important. So it may be part of an institutional policy, it might be part of a funder's policy or a publisher's policy, but also very importantly, active data management allows us to organize our own research. So in the case of IPBES, our contributing authors are guided by the IPBES Data Management Policy to enable effective data management and reuse, and for the products going forward. There are many benefits for management of active research data. So organizing your data will make it more findable, ensuring the documentation of good metadata, so including a text file, will make reuse of the data easier. Ensuring that your data is safely and securely stored, ensuring that you have backups will also enhance availability and accessibility of your data. It also facilitates the sharing and reuse of research data and thereby reducing duplication, but also enhancing collaboration, which is really important for scientists. So it also helps to make your data and your workflows transparent and reproducible. In terms of data cleaning, this is really a critical step to ensure fit for use data and for improving the outputs of analysis. So it's quite important that errors in or inconsistencies in variables such as the time, place, the taxonomy, that corrections here are important. And tools such as OpenRefine have been used for a while to improve data quality. Good management practice then will also increase trust in the data, in the study design, as well as the output. And this will also increase reputation and citation of the data. Data standards such as the Darwin Core facilitates sharing and publishing of data by publishers and also country nodes with knowledge management platforms such as GBIF and IPBES. Also critical before publishing is that data is formatted, that it's quality controlled, that it's formatted, and also that data gaps as close as possible can be filled. And tools such as the Integrated Publishing Toolkit are then also used in that publishing process. And then in conclusion also, aspects such as file naming and version control are also really important. Version control tables and versioning software can be used, and this essentially so that the evolution of datasets can be understood. Versioning also allows researchers to use or to reproduce older versions of figures and statistics. When we are looking at formats and preservations, we want to ensure that we consider formats so that the data is accessible down the line. So in 10 years' time, you want to ensure that that data is still accessible. And so we need to consider the formats we are using. We want to ensure that we are using formats that are relatively open and that are non-proprietary so that we can use them down the line. Lastly, also, good publishing practice. What does this constitute? So there are a number of factors here. We want to ensure that we include metadata so that we have context of the data or the data sets. We want to ensure that we have accessible formats, that we are including licenses, and in this, so that the data set can be viewed or the user would be sure how to use that data. So is it just for viewing or is it for reuse? And in the instance of our IPBES data policy, we recommend CC BY or CC0. Lastly, we also want to ensure that we are using persistent identifiers. And so persistent identifiers enable our data to be more discoverable. So in the case of data or data sets, we want to ensure that we are using digital object identifiers. And this includes, so we want to ensure digital object identifiers, but then also for ourselves or for yourselves to include ORC IDs, which will ensure discoverability of your information. So we wish to thank you for your attention. And finally, also, we would like to thank all the contributors that supported or assisted with content of this presentation. We've also provided contact details below should you wish to contact us or need any guidance or support. Lastly, just to say that I hope you've enjoyed the session, looking at a general introduction to the management of active research data. Thank you so much.